Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be talking about the divorce process maze. I'm Jeff Carbone, certified financial planner, managing partner at Cornerstone Wealth. And today I'm joined by Sandra Lee of Emerge Victorious, who is a divorce coach, divorce mediator, and certified financial...
Certified family financial mediator.
Thank you, Sandra. That's a mouthful.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
It is.
I know for over 20 years, Sandra has been in this field working as a professional. Her experience, her training has allowed her to work with many individuals. She's part of the International Alternative Conflict and Resolution Organization. As I mentioned, a certified divorce mediator, collaborative divorce coach, which is, again, a key there. Works through the Distinguished International Collaborative Professionals Organization and is trained in the practice area of collaborative divorce coach. Her practice is not only local, right? It's international. She is really there to empower and enable people to make better financial decisions or divorce decisions when they're dealing with this situation. And again, there's a lot that those are dealing and rebuilding their life after a divorce and family, all these decisions that are being made. Sandra has also been training, and so she's trained other professionals. I think my understanding is also one of the first divorce mediators. Divorce coaches as the field evolved. So again, want to thank you and welcome Sandra for joining us today. Thanks, Sandra.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I just have to say, Jeff, thank you so much for caring about not only people that you work with, but by providing a podcast or webinar such as this. I mean, you just care that people walk through this process with more dignity, with more control and grace, that they would get on the other side to be able to rebuild their lives and do okay through it. It's a hard process. It's hard. Yeah. But I just so appreciate your passion for that.
Well, and we appreciate you working with us and with our clients, unfortunately, right? It's hard. And I know when families are dealing and working through divorce, there's a lot of emotions, right? They come forward when everything kind of comes to fruition, right, and hits the fan. We're going to definitely talk a lot about financial considerations and the importance of what you need to be doing while going through divorce financially. But today I want to spend time really starting at the beginning, right? And that's when it happens. It's starting the conversation with the emotions and this divorce process maze that we start. So, Sandra, I just want to kind of jump in and let's start with this, how this all begins and what that process really looks like.
Sure. So, no one gets married hoping that one day they find themselves with divorce being the solution, being the answer. And so it's tough. And the emotions run rapid. They, fear drives it all. Fear of, am I going to have enough? Am I going to have to pay too much? Am I going to see the children enough? Who's going to take care of me when I'm older? Will I ever meet someone else? Some people, will God ever forgive me? There are usually more questions than there are answers, and that's just overwhelming. So, those emotions just are running wild. We've all heard of the grief emotions, the acceptance, the denial, the anger. And they don't come in a straight line. They just come as different for different people, and they come as they come. But emotions are not good decision makers. They never do. Money doesn't have emotions. We don't make good decisions when we're living out of a place of fear or controlled by emotions. But it's hard. My world is crashing down. That picture that we have on the wall of our family, it is broken. And I got to start picking up the pieces, and emotions are heightened. So that is one of the best things where divorce coaching comes into play, is someone trained to help you walk through that to make better decisions. I actually always tell people, I'm your thinking partner. You need that right now. Or in mediation, it helps people to have a say at the table, empower themselves, But we'll talk about all that later, but just now is the emotions are all over the place.
Well, and maybe that's a good, you mentioned a few of the emotions already, right? Fear, anger. What other emotional stages are there that people may go through when they're dealing with the divorce?
Well, denial. You can have one person that is totally denying. You can have another that is stuck in anger, and then someone's stuck in bargaining, or they're flowing in and out of those emotions every day. But so there's no straight one path, Jeff, to which emotions are going to come forward. And they're triggered. They're triggered by, and it leads into something else by a trigger. Most often, though, it all goes down to, we follow that emotion down to fear.
Right.
I'm fearing something.
Well, and it's extreme, like you said, it's so extremely difficult to kind of separate and downright, separate those emotions that we're dealing with. So how does someone like yourself help individuals work through and help folks through those emotions? What is it you're really doing?
Yeah. Well, first is identifying with them. This is hard. You don't want to be here. You're scared, and you don't understand this process. I mean, some have gone through it before, but oftentimes more than not, they haven't. And what I find is that people go out and start talking to everyone that they can find. And so they'll start asking questions, and they get stories, people's narratives of how divorce has affected them. Oh, when my mom got a divorce, when my best friend got a divorce, when da-da-da-da-da. And let me tell you, you go hire yourself a bulldog. You need to do this. You go take all the money. You become super nice to your spouse. Try to get them back. It's just a lot of different information feeding in a very confused head. And I always tell people, one of the first things is we've got to stop listening to all the different stories, because it's coming through the lens of how divorce affected them and what they're familiar with. And your divorce may or may not be anything like theirs. So we're going to start by figuring out what's going to work or not work for you. So Jeff, and I do this with my clients, if I were to throw puzzle pieces out on this table, what's the first thing you would do?
Grab the corners, right?
Grab the corners. No. So I have pieces, got to turn them over, not the first thing.
Yeah.
The very first thing you're going to need to do, you got to look at a picture. You have to see that picture of what you're about to try to put together with all those pieces. So one of the first things I do is try to figure out what this picture looks like. Education is key in helping combat fear.
That's, again, just makes me start thinking, right? Because there's so many different options, as you put it, or choices with the puzzle pieces or whatever it may be. So maybe share through the divorce process, what are those options?
Yeah. So people a long time ago would say, I just have to go hire an attorney. The practice of family law as a specialty practice really isn't that old. I think, maybe in the 70s is when it really started birthing, which isn't that old of a practice, really. But people thought, if I'm going through a divorce, I have to go hire a family law attorney. You don't have to hire a family law attorney, and that has really changed. You no longer drop it off in their desk and expect them to do all the work. You have options. There's litigation. I hope that's your last thought, that you ever have to go to litigation. It is nasty, super expensive, very time consuming, and it will wreak havoc not only on you, your ex, but any ability to help co-parent your children. And it affects all the family members, your friends, your work. It affects everyone. There's litigation. And some people have to go that way because they simply cannot reach an agreement any other way. There is collaborative law. I am a huge, huge fan of collaborative law. Collaborative law was developed out of Michigan, But what it was a couple of attorneys saying, there's got to be another way.
There's a better way.
There's a better way is exactly what this said. And so in that better way is that we both can hire attorneys, we can have advocates, we will sign an agreement. We're not going to go to court. We're going to take that carrot threat off the table, and we are going to sit at a table through 5 ways, 4 ways, 6 ways, and I'll explain that. We're going to figure out a solution that will work for both of us. Why I say 5, 4, 6, 4 is the 2 clients and they're each having an attorney and counsel. But they can bring in a financial advisor, a CDFP, a certified financial planner, a divorce coach, mediation. They bring in who is needed.
Right?
It's a team approach. Still can be, doesn't mean it's really a lot less expensive. It certainly is less expensive than litigation, but it's still, you're hiring counsel and other people. You can do a private mediation, pro se mediation, where you mediate your case with a trained mediator, and at the end you have an attorney draft the legal documents. Or you can do it yourself at the kitchen table. Or some of the online things that are out there, whatever's still out there, I don't even know, but you can do it yourself. The problem is the day that you need to have a good agreement is the day that you find out you didn't, and you don't know what you don't know. But the days of just doing it one shot, drop everything off, those are just not, that's not a number one best practice anymore.
Well, and I think, when you started, when I think about clients that have gone the litigation route, right, we want to be in court, I want everything, I want to win. It's more about winning, right, than it is.
And court's a winner and a loser, Collaborative mediations that I'm talking about, we hope to have 2 winners. And Jeff, we never walk out of them going, boy, I just really won. Most feel like I lost some and I won some. But if we can figure out what is my goal, what is it that I want to have at the end, we can work towards solutions that will help us get there.
No, absolutely. Well, and I know with, again, litigation, it's not only financial draining for those individuals, it's the emotional drain on everybody involved. Even if, again, you come out and you think you're the winner, you are emotionally drained. You just, again, it may not be that day, it may not be an hour later, but at some point the emotional drain will come.
Well, and if I can say this too, Jeff, I find that people cannot begin to heal and move forward until the process is over. They need to know what's going to happen with the kids. They need to know where they land financially, and they just can't. So it's even tough with a lot of counselors, like therapeutic counseling, at the same time as going through the process, because their focus in their therapy session is often about their divorce.
Right.
And so they're not really able to work through some of the healing that they need. So it's important, to get it done and have that part of it behind you, so the real healing and moving into the life waiting on you is there.
Well, let's talk about working with a divorce coach.
Okay.
Right. So maybe share if someone calls up Sandra and says, I want to go the collaborative or the coaching route, or I need some coaching. Mm-hmm. How does Sandra go about it, or how should someone in your profession, how are they going about helping?
Yeah. So, divorce coaching, still to this day, people go, oh, well, that's interesting. What is that? Well, coaching has been around for a long time. And so I use that analogy a lot. You can have a football player that has got multi-million-dollar contract. He has been playing football since he's a little guy. But he will do so much better listening to the coach on the sideline that has his best interest, that understands football inside and out, has the vision of the whole field and all the other team, and he'd be maybe making $500,000 and not played a lot of football. But he knows how to help that team member be successful and work to get him his goals of being a good football player. So that's true of divorce too. You come into it going, I don't know all of this. I don't know how to set up a team approach. here's my money, I have this little money, I have this much money, I'm falling apart, and I need some help. And as I said, I tell people I'm your thinking partner. I will help them everything from figuring out the goals to, if we're going to do collaborative, who's the best attorney for you? Is this more of a divorce case about money? Is it more of a financial divorce, or with kids, small kids, older kids? Do we have some certain faults that come into play? What's our personalities like? And I will help them put together their attorney, or if they want to do private mediation, but I will help them plan for the whole process and walk with them. I hear people all the time say, thank you for making a horrible process manageable. Thank you for having a voice of reason and for your calmness that you brought. And I hear that a lot because that's something that they need so much as they go through this. The other thing, a good divorce coach should have a lot of resources. I know the therapist. I know the child specialist. I know some things about the realtors and real estate and what we need to do in renting. I know about mortgage lenders and do we need to go find out. And we're going to get into all that when we get into financials and the children pieces. But they need to have access to a lot of resources because, again, as a thinking partner, as a football coach, you need to know the field.
No. Well, Sandra, as we kind of wrap up today, is there anything else that you think, today was about the emotional, the options, and then the coaching. Is there anything else you can think of that you'd want to add as we maybe come to a conclusion on this first session?
Sure, that divorce is hard. It is a life-changing moment for you, but it doesn't have to define you. It's not the end of the story. And no, you may be someone that thinks it is or it feels like that today. The fears are so strong. You're going to make it through. You're going to be okay on the other side. You are going to make it. You're not alone. And you just have to believe in you. You have to find resources. And you realize that, like I said, there's a life waiting on you to live. It's not through. And you can do this.
Well, thank you, Sandra. Again, a lot of information today. And as we've discussed, we want to do this in a series, right? So in our next conversation, we're going to talk more about children and family, as well as maybe start talking financials, right? How do we start dealing and working through that? So if you do want to talk with Sandra and get in touch, Sandra, you certainly could reach out to Cornerstone and give us a call. We can connect you. Or Sandra's website is emergevictorious.com. We appreciate your time today, Sandra. We certainly appreciate everybody joining us. Again, the next session we'll have that coming out, and we look forward to sharing some additional knowledge with you. On behalf of us all, again, thank you, Sandra. Thank you all for listening. And I think you said it best when it's a process, right? It's not easy, but you will get through it.
Yeah, and I just want to say your time is so precious. And we just thank you for sharing a little bit of your time with us and hope that through this series we're doing that you can grab a nugget or two that will make this process a little bit better for you. That's our goal.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.